it's ridiculous. Like 20 years ago, like we couldn't imagine, iPhone being an iPhone, and now we're like, oh yeah, now you can buy an actual like Android bot, like a machine that operates with AI in its head, and it can perform tasks that you actually tell it to.
River on, stay aware, stay ahead, stay on. News flows, AI scanning, markets breathe, blockchains running.
This is Riverian Studios. My name is Ryan Benconsejo, your Web3 wanderer, blockchain explorer, and AI enthusiast. And today I'm so fortunate to be joined by Tony, the co-founder and CEO of SUMEX. So we actually met at Token 2049 in Singapore, had a really nice and really inspiring, and at the same time, like it made me think about a lot of things. So I definitely wanted to have another conversation with him. Tony, thank you so much for your time.
Hello, and thank you very much for the invite.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Before we go to, the serious questions and stuff like that, we always like to start our interviews with a little bit of nostalgia, something a bit personal. So our first question is, growing up, what were you really fascinated about, and how did that transition to your discovery of crypto or blockchain?
Ooh, fascinated. It's interesting because I was always, I think, fascinated by different complexities. I was like a huge fan of, Dr. House, for example, of, Sherlock Holmes. So it was always about, something mysterious that you can solve at the same time. So I wasn't a big fan of like sci-fi, or like any, you know, Tolkien fans gonna kill me, Lord of the Rings. I wasn't a huge fan of those, but I was always a fan of some mysteries, some complex mysteries they can actually eventually solve if you put enough work into it. So I think that's how it translates to me being within Web3 as well. Because there's always a challenge. There's always something to do. It's like in TradFi, I might be jumping slightly forward, but in TradFi, it's more or less solved. There's a few like tricks that banks use here and there, but for the most part, it's a well-established industry. And then Web3, it's like it's literally like a Pandora's box. Once you open it, you like that's when you understand how deep it goes. There are like different levels of complexities and mysteries and things to solve.
Awesome. So, of course, a follow-up question would be, how did you discover blockchain and what really fascinated you about it?
So discovered interestingly. I mean, I was so back in the day. I think it was like 15, 16. Well, 2015, 2016. I was working in like Forex, international brokerage, CFDs, and so on and so forth. So obviously, any emergent asset, any emergent market would be of interest to anyone, within this like industry. So that's, I think, the first time how I heard about it, and then yeah, we basically kind of focused on it for some time. Had a couple of products being developed and like integrated, and basically by the end of 2017, I was already visited a couple of conferences in Cyprus, like some of the first Bitcoin conferences, and the conferences right now and the conferences back then, like those cannot be compared. It's literally, it's we're talking about what, like eight-year difference, but 2017 conferences, like crypto conferences in Cyprus, they literally felt like 1970s, conferences about, I don't know, sewing machines or something like that. It was like very underwhelming and very, very geeky. So yeah, I mean, like literally all the teams you met there, they're kind of, yeah, we just building this protocol. Like, yeah, I have no idea what's that. But anyway, so um, that's how I kind of joined crypto, but not to a full extent. So 2017, I found some footage some time ago of me actually giving presentations and telling people like the regular TradFi folks what crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain are and how they actually differ from TradFi, the traditional like banking systems, for example. But that actually wasn't the time when I, properly done crypto, because in 2018, I actually ran an ICO for a company I worked for. I was pretty successful, had like a massive roadshow. And still that wasn't the time for me joining crypto, because like although I did have some Ethereum, I had some of the ICO thingy coin. Still, I wasn't like too much in crypto. I was looking at it as just like a speculative instrument. That's it. And I think I probably joined it in like 2020, I guess. Basically started with the whole NFT craze, and the rest is history.
When you say fully joined, could you tell us a little bit more about like the things you've explored, or the things you've done, or the things you've started becoming participative of?
Yeah. So when I say fully, I mean like that becomes your like primary industry that you work in and your primary income. Let's put it this way. So I mean, so for me, it started with NFT, like in the sense that I was pretty good at flipping, surprisingly. And I remember my first ever friend of mine, an ex-colleague of mine, he actually pulled me into it. He was like, dude, there's like, there's like amazing blockchain. I don't want to show it right now. But I did, some help them a little bit lately. But anyway, so it was an EVM chain. Anyway, so they're basically launching their first like a virtual NFT collection, something like that. It was huge, There was like a very it's huge whitelist. It was really hard to get into. I think it was like 1 out of 800 wallets was able to actually get an allocation of pre-sale. And a friend of mine had like a bunch of different wallets. So like, dude, let's do like register like a bunch of wallets as well. I was like, nah, I don't believe in it. I think it's all fake. They're just gonna say, oh yeah, there's shortage of spaces, just for the hype. So I literally just registered with one, and it was overnight for me. So the next morning I woke up, called my friend. I was like, so how did it go? He's like, well, out of 8 of my wallets, I didn't get a single allocation. I was like, really? Yeah, probably me. Yeah, same thing. I was like, oh shit, I actually got it. And I managed to flip it 20x the price, I think. So yeah, that's basically how I got started with it. And it just carried on from there. So we started from, flipping NFTs and actually being, quite profitable, to actually working within the same community, working on some of the staking liquidity pools. Actually bought quite a bunch of crypto. Staked it all there in one of the liquidity pools. It was a huge scam. It was a scam worth like $15 million. I mean, it was big, for that chain. So that thing eventually got drained by the creator, and the creator disappeared. So yeah, we still carried on. So we actually launched with a friend of mine, with the same guy. We launched a couple of NFT collections, then we started building an NFT super duper aggregator marketplace. Had like a bunch of like different innovative tools that like OpenSea didn't even like think of at that time. They only came up with it like 3 years later. But yeah, it was a struggle to get the funding, to get the money in. And yeah, and basically like after that, worked for this company, worked for that company, met a lot of people from the industry, started attending, conferences, like for my personal development.
Our next question is obviously about SUMEX. So could you tell us a little bit more about SUMEX and what problem does it solve?
Sure. So, funny enough, okay, SUMEX basically stands for, I mean, that's how we derived it. So it's a sum of exchanges, or sum of experiences. So it's everything that you do with crypto, your crypto presence, and how you basically get to experience it. So in a nutshell, SUMEX is a non-custodial and chain-agnostic crypto aggregator super app for CeFi and DeFi for portfolio management. It's a bit of a mouthful, but you literally, can't boil it down even further. We position ourselves as a super app for all crypto sapiens, and I do mean it. So we have everything from trading to investment to gamified, like enrolling courses for the newbies and different analytics tools and data aggregation. And we also have some plans to build like AI around the data sets. So let's put it this way, it's a very, like, technologically, it's a very complex and multi-faceted platform, but at the same time, it's actually going to optimize and solve a lot of problems for the end user, such as crypto being fragmented. And this is like the biggest problem I've seen since that aforementioned NFT marketplace. Everyone's like everywhere and not in the same spot. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like we have like a lot of different chains, different wallets, different like access tools, analytics tools, and sexes and dexes, and like all of that is so fragmented, like it's impossible. So this is one of the biggest things that we believe we're going to be solving. And it actually has to do with everything else. So, missed, opportunities, exploits, I mean, like there are a bunch of scams that basically happen on a daily basis because of phishing links and people not being accustomed to using like certain protocols, or they want to move to like a different like ecosystem or different blockchain that they're not exactly familiar with it yet. They make mistakes, they lose access, they lose funds, they become victims to some scams, etc., etc. So we basically want to create that unified hub that serves all of the purposes in one place with one coherent, interface and experience, and it's all going to be done like basically under the same engine, within the same platform. So you don't have to visit external links, and it's obviously very convenient for the end user, but it's also very safe for the end user because anything that's actually integrated inside, there is like zero risk of you actually, going to a phishing link. So that's kind of the idea. I mean, there is a lot more to discuss and discover in details, but it's depends on the use cases, depends on the user, depends on their goals, the like market phase and so on and so forth.
I think even the basic solution of not losing your assets when you try to transfer from one thing to another, because I mean, like everybody's like probably lost something in transit within crypto and blockchain. Like that's a familiar feeling with everyone, and it happens to the best of us. I mean, like even though you're so familiar with crypto, every once in a while you might do something wrong, and then you might lose a couple of assets as well. So, but talking a bit more about the fragmentation part, before we get a little bit more into the technicalities, I'd love your opinion on maybe right now the market, because like there's definitely a lot of different categories that we've seen popping up. So just for example, yeah, tokenization is starting to become a big thing. So are stable coins, the agentic side of things, and then there's also Web 2.5. So there are traditional businesses that are starting to enter the Web 3 space. What are some things that you're maybe bullish or bearish on, or some things that you've noticed that you appreciate have moved into Web 3?
Oof. Bullish is always easy to say. You just some of the top mentions like over the last couple of weeks. Oh yeah, like AI and RWAs. Bearish. That's I obviously don't want to offend anyone. I'll put it this way. So I'm bullish and bearish on AI, and I'll tell you why. And that's also one of the reasons I was very cautious when I was saying, do you have some plans and ideas around building like AI model, like our in-house AI model around the data set? So I think it's like a little bit overhyped, like the AI industry in general, not just to do with crypto, but like AI in general. It's an incredible leap in technology, and that's actually something that I discussed with my fiance last night. I was like, it's ridiculous. Like 20 years ago, like we couldn't imagine iPhone being an iPhone, and now we're like, oh yeah, now you can buy an actual like Android bot, like a machine that operates with AI in its head, and it can perform tasks that you actually tell it to. So AI is it's incredible. It's gonna do like so much more. Like some things we can't even comprehend right now. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit overhyped in terms of some of the startups and some of the companies at this particular moment. And again, it can change like for those particular companies as well. Like in the sense, maybe they're a little bit overhyped right now, but then they actually come up with some breakthrough, and they actually gonna meet that valuation. But RWAs, that's 100% something that I'm really excited about. That's again something that's 2020, 2021 when I was working on the like NFT marketplace. I was like, we need to bring the actual utility to the NFTs, and otherwise there wasn't really a thing. And in the form of RWA, so like basically any sort of tokenization of real world assets. Whether we're talking about financial instruments of like TradFi or like even CO2 emission offset in between different companies, like all of those things, they 100% fit within the blockchain and RWA. Deep in, again, very fun concept. I'm not sure how it works. I kind of follow a couple of projects that work on Deepin. Feels a bit of a like an amalgamation of capitalism and communism. We're basically trying to tokenize something that, hey, anyone can own now, anyone can be a part of. So it's a fun concept for me. But I'll probably place it last amongst the bullish things that I mentioned just now. But yeah, RWAs, I think that would be number one in terms of bullishness. Then AI, and then DPN for me. Again, stable coins is like, often discussed as its own industry. I think it's just it's bullish, obviously, in terms of the technological adoption, but stable coins, I wouldn't actually call it like a separate industry, although it does operate within kind of the same realm of like Web3. But it's more of a concept of money basically evolving to meet the standards of contemporary technology. So yeah, I think those are the bullish things. The bearish things, probably, and it kind of hurts me to say it, probably centralized exchanges. Bearish in terms of, we've seen a couple of, the drop on the 10th of October, hurt a lot of people. I lost a lot of money myself as well. Again, no crying in the casino, I guess. That's a part of the game. But I think the actual, like the infrastructure of Texas has been, and like closed ecosystem itself, essentially like a Web2 ecosystem with some, sockets to bridge the liquidity or the money out of it, like every now and then. I think that will be changing. So the perp DEX is something that we see right now. I think that's kind of the next evolutionary step for the Texas as well. Not in the sense that Texas are going to be dying, but they would definitely be evolving and merging into something new. So that's kind of the bearish sentiment from myself in terms of the classical Texas right now.
Going back to the fragmentation topic, because I mean, like, I feel like with so many different fields in crypto, a lot of them are good, but there's of course like some fields that aren't that good. How would SUMEX like pick which projects or which ecosystems or which blockchains to add to its platform?
It's actually very simple. We don't care. Like not we don't care. Like, oh yeah, you big ecosystem. Well, we don't care. We actually something I would probably even go as far as saying it's part of our core philosophy. So whenever you go to Amazon, like who decides on Amazon if it's good to have this particular product or not? It's essentially the users, voting with their money, with their demand, and the sellers who actually provide this particular, product, platform, whatever it might be. So in that sense, we're not in the position to say oh, this project is good and this project is not, unless there are like huge red flags, like, guys, come on, this is gonna be a scam. Like it's gonna be a red bull. But other than that, we basically, and that's one of the reasons why I was saying we're non-custodial, we're chain agnostic in the sense, we don't want to interact with the user funds. We do want to provide a safe environment in terms of, okay, we're going to integrate some of the largest, well, eventually all of the taxes, which are, clearly not red flags, not scams. And we'll do the same with all of the like investment tools. We're talking about obviously the big names like, Aave, Curve, etc. And then we're going to be going into like more specific, like protocols on a smaller chains. And the idea is to give all of the possibilities, all of the variety to the users with the built-in tools within SUMEX to actually analyze and see how certain, investment protocols can compare against one another. And also provides, like, we not only want to provide all of the analytics and metrics to make it fair, but also all of the bridging opportunities. So you can actually see, well, I have, money on that chain, and then there is an opportunity to stake something else on a different chain. Okay, well, if I can, natively bridge it, or if I can use like a series of blended protocols to actually, get from A to B, and I can actually make that amount of money, or, here's the amount of fees that I'll need to pay in that, and so on. So we actually want to provide all the tools for the end users to be available, and then they can actually make their own decisions. We don't want to make those decisions for the users. It's that's not our goal. Our goal is to make one hub that literally serves all of the purposes. You want to trade? Fine, trade. Where? Well, here's a selection. Pick your poison.
Thanks for that clarification. That was pretty cool. I mean, like, it does make sense that like the user gets to pick instead of like you cherry picking which projects to add on SumEx. Our next question is a bit more about, I think, adoption. So when we talk about adoption, we can also look at it geographically. And I know we met at Singapore on during Token 2049. What other places in Asia or around the world are you bullish at right now?
So Vietnam is a huge market. I mean, the thing is, the fun part, I know the statistics, so that's kind of the knowledge part of me, but also there's the gut feeling. So the gut feeling tells me, like, obviously some regions in Asia are not like as rich in terms of the amount of funds per user, but at the same time there's a huge market in terms of the actual number of users. And then vice versa, in some like other regions or countries, you get huge checks, but only from a couple of individuals who moved away from TradFi, and they're like either trying to avoid tax, or they're trying to like expand their funds presence elsewhere. So generally speaking, Asia is huge, as you mentioned. Vietnam, I personally know that it's very big in crypto, because first of all, I lived in Vietnam for like almost 2 years, and only left about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. Well, 5 months, I guess. So in that sense, I've been to GM Vietnam conferences a couple of times. I've seen what's going on there, and it's actually becoming a lot more prominent as the industry. And I actually followed on the recent news as well. So they basically, the government is bringing a lot more legislation to make crypto official, to make it very convenient, to make it very easy for the users to handle, the taxation, like all of that. It's becoming a lot more open in Vietnam. So Vietnam is definitely going to be huge. Thailand, it's okay, I guess, but I can do better. Korea is obviously, it's already quite big. China, it's kind of tricky because, again, of their like regulations, but I think they'll succumb to that as well. And that's, again, just based on the politics. So the US is doing it. Russia is like one of the largest countries actually deals with crypto. I think it might actually be like ranking first right now in terms of the usage of crypto per person in the world. And China would like they would basically have to do something with it as well. Like otherwise they would basically lose in that arms race. So yeah, I mean it's different kind of bullishness, different kind of potential. Some are like they have like huge potential in terms of the user base, quote unquote user base, because they have like a huge population, and then the smaller Asian countries they would have fewer people, but at the same time they would have bigger checks. So yeah, there is potential.
Our next question, of course, going back to SUMEX. I saw, like, I think this is on Telegram, mention of gamification and AI assistance, which is like, they're often like really huge UX plus points. Can you tell us a little bit more about other features you're proud of?
Other features, I mean, those are like two of the major features. So in terms of AI, again, like I mentioned, it's something we have planned. We're not doing anything with it as of yet. But something that ties into that, and it's one of the biggest features, I guess. It's kind of one of those shadow features that if you don't know about, you don't really realize. We spend like an immense amount of time, money, tears, and blood, and everything else building our analytics layer. So basically what it means that all of the user activities on Texas, on Dexes, on like connected social media, and again, we're not forcing anyone to do so. They're basically being recorded, not in the sense that, we're spying on like anyone. Again, most of those like data points, they're publicly available, but they're not collected anywhere as like as a single source. So essentially what our analytics layer does, so bear in mind, we don't have registration, we don't have KYC, we're not asking for any personal details. So literally a user gets to connect their, I don't know, Google account, Twitter account, or Web3 wallet, and that's it. Like as soon as you connect, that's basically your online persona on SUMEX is being created. We're not asking to like, okay, now answer like a few questions about yourself. Nothing. You literally get to connect to your Web3 wallet. That's it. You start using it, and the other bundles, other wallets, other texts, your social media that you get to connect. That basically creates your online persona and it maps it together without registration or KYC or anything like that. So what it does is basically creates the most comprehensive representation of someone using crypto online without actually asking for their personal details or sharing their personal details with anyone. So what that means is eventually we would have the deepest and the most accurate data set of anyone using crypto. So we obviously get all the aggregated data from Texas, using API. It's, the same as like CoinGlass or Coinank, the other platforms do. But at the same time, we can also get an in-depth look at, clusters of users. So obviously it's not going to be interesting, looking at, my personal, online persona and saying, oh, this is your Twitter and this is your, MetaMask, and here's your Rabbit wallet and here's your Soulflare and that's your Binance. But what's going to be interesting is looking at different clusters or like categories of people and saying, Jesus, there's like a huge correlation. So if somebody has, that meme coin, he's also a fan of this and this and that, because that would also obviously help in developing our AI models in terms of recommendations for the users. We basically get it is the exact same thing that companies, actually Web2 companies, have been doing for the past, I don't know, 20 years. They've been collecting this big data on the users to create correlations and to actually start recommending different things to people. There were like huge court cases about that. That was kind of funny, but that's essentially what we can do. We can get aggregated data. So yeah, that's that's a huge part of it. And like I said, it's a bit of in the shadow, because it's you don't actually get to see how it works. It just works in the background. That's the data sets that we get. That's how we'll get to train the AI model, and that's how we're gonna actually going to be helping the users as well as the protocols, to analyze the behavior while being anonymous. The other thing, it's actually something I already mentioned. So our connection manager, the bundling system, it's unique. It's a simple thing by design. It's quite complex in terms of the technology, but it's bloody beautiful. So right now, if you go to like any of the trackers, like any of your wallet trackers, you get to connect, let's say, EVM only, or like at the most it's gonna be Web3 wallets only. So you can't connect your text accounts using API. So you only get to to see and to analyze and to track your performance on the coins that's actually on non-custodial wallets. Then some other platforms that would actually allow you to do the opposite. That would allow you to paste your text API keys, and you get to track your text performance. So you can't actually track your holdings, you can't track your lending protocol positions, you can't track your staking as long as on Web3 wallets. So our system basically allows to do all of that. You can literally plug in any wallets, you can plug in any of the supported sexes. Again, work in progress, we're gonna have more. But you basically get to see your entire crypto portfolio as one thing. So that's the fragmentation part that I was telling you about. And that's one of the first steps, to actually bring everything within the same, dashboard, or the term we often use in some of our media, the cockpit. You basically get all of your sources of crypto funds, crypto assets being added to the exact same dashboard, and you get to see the entire thing, and that's how you get to make some, rational decisions.
Our last question is, of course, we see that the launch app is coming soon. Do you have an estimation on when that will be, or is there going to be a big announcement on the website?
There will be a big announcement on the website, on our social media. We're going to be rolling out like quite an extensive marketing campaign. Like literally, we're working on it as we speak right now. Quite a lot of rewards, etc., etc. So all of those things they've been planned for right now, but very soon. So let's put it this way: some of the KOLs and trading influencers, they would actually get access, like a closed beta access, by the end of this month. So that's very exciting because we obviously want to get some of the it's not going to be first, but some of the earliest feedback from the guys who actually actively trade, who actively engage with crypto on a daily basis, and the rest of the public by the end of the year. So yeah, it's very, very soon. I can't give you like a hard written date right now, because again, it's subject to a couple of things being lined up with our partners, because we're also going to be starting with quite a few big partnerships with some of the most prominent sexes, and we're going to be launching trading competitions. So yeah, all of that will be announced, so don't want to spoil anything, so stay tuned.
Sounds amazing. This is Ruberian Studios. Tony, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for yours.